like
This
Tommy
is
Lee.
the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. Welcome to the show. As you come in, drop in the comments a hello for Andy and I. It is a new series. It is time to jump in to nostalgia months now, where back in the day we only used to do 1 month. Now we are doing 2. So it's nostalgia months, and we have a fantastic lineup. I'm going to show you guys the schedule here in a second, but until we do, let's say hello to some of the people in chat. Feral Inferno is going to be on the show in a couple weeks. Barry in the house. Way to go. What's up, the Mountain Men? Yes. And hello, my peeps. Sean, the real life perspective. First few guys in here. As you guys come logging in, we just want to say we love you guys. We cherish the fact that you would spend a Friday night this 5th of July, right after the 4th. Hope everybody's 4th of Julys were fantastic. Ours were really good. My family, most of my family's been out of town for 2 weeks. And Andy, on tomorrow, I'm going to Siege, Southeast Gaming Exchange, one of the biggest video game conferences, conventions in the world. And it's going to be loaded with other fellow YouTubers. Can't wait to meet some of those guys. Andy, one of the big things that I was going to do was I won a Wii, and I have not gotten it yet. And I was going to see Keith from Pick and Preacher to get that thing, and he messaged me and said he left it on the counter, and I was really sad. I didn't want him to go wee all the way home. But but with that being said, we're still going to go out and visit Pac-Man Case. He's been on the show. Retro Wolf, which was supposed to be on the show. Retro Rick, Phoenix Resale. All of these guys are hanging out. John Riggs and many of our friends, and of course Pick and Preacher, Arkansas Picker, RNG Gamer. All those guys are going to be there. I'm excited. Me and Retro Cannon are going to go down there and hang out. Andy, on Sunday, it's a big day, though.
Yes,
I come driving in to hang out with you. Are you packed yet?
I will be packed on Sunday. That's all you need to know.
Well, I just finished packing because of the big week and the big day.
Right. Yeah.
I just got done packing. I know I'm forgetting something. One thing I did forget was my championship snow goggles for the win. But we're going to camp, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Retro Cannon are going to hang out with the Girl Dad fam and our Journey Fellowship Church from back home. And we're going to church camp, as we always do about this time. And it's going to be a fantastic blast. Next week, we have already recorded our show. It's a fantastic show. And it is about kids' meal toys. Now, look, I have a kids' meal toy right here, and it's very specific, Andy. This is Joy. Joy from Inside Out. And guess what? This Sunday, I have loaded up a reboot devotion about navigating anxiety for Inside Out 2. You went and saw If today, and I think you're going to plan one of those devotions. I still am lining up the Acolyte one as episode 5 just came out. But we have some reboot coming out. Check that out on Sunday. But Kids Meal Toys, Brian McCollister with BK Toys. He's a friend from the St. Tammany Collectors Con. He'll be on next Friday. It's pre-recorded, and Andy has put a ton of work into it. I know it's going to be funny. Make sure you check that out on next Friday. But Andy, I'm ready for camp.
Yeah, man. Me too. Hey, I want to real quick shout out a couple people that have hopped into
your
Wise.
Stop Wise was on the show 3 weeks ago, I think now. 2 weeks, 3 weeks with Disney TV. Go back and check that one out. Crafts by Bethany, his wonderful wife. Bethany, thank you for being here at the show. And anybody else?
Yeah, I think everybody else has been in here. Barry's saying it sounds like a good devotional. Can't wait for that. We're going to talk a little bit more about Reboot at the halfway point of tonight's episode. If you've been here before, which I think everybody in here is part of the Summit Squad already, you've heard about it, but we will definitely talk more about that. Very excited. I went and watched If today, like you said. If you haven't seen it yet, I know it's been out for a little bit. I finally got to go see it. Bring some tissue.
Shannon went and saw it without me with his honey.
It is so good. It is
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Anyway.
Hey, before we get started, because I know it's that time, let's show it's a new series. And it's time for Friday Night Live. So I'm going to show off our schedule and kind of shout some people out. Speaking of the devil,
yeah.
From the Hildt will be on the show in 2 weeks. He's the show after camp. That 80s room, welcome to the show. This is for all my friends that are showing up that look like to be new here. And that 80s room, you're going to love our guest today. But here you go. This is for you. You are now an honorary member of the Summit Squad, and being a part of the Summit Squad means you need to leave your top 4 of whatever our show is. By the way, you can go back in our playlist. I have curated our playlist for any style person. If you're an 80s guy, a 90s guy, if you love movies, TV, sports, whatever, there's a playlist out there for you. We would really love for you to run those playlists and allow us to kind of get some of those watch hours out of the way. But listen, I'm going to throw some wrenches out there as the show is going. Everybody here basically is a creator of sorts. They're friends of the community. If you go and follow them, it would be a wonderful thing for us. We have surpassed the 915 mark. We are at 85 subs to go for that 1K, and everybody here is a part of the family. So be sure to go and jump over there. And let's look at this schedule before we jump out. This is the first time we've done this this way, but it would help you guys out to see what's coming up. So first and foremost, today is Big Men and Wrestling. As you can see, Smash Ventura is going to be here. Oh, and BK Toys from the Hillt, which is Logan, and Peli-Con is going to do our July. And we're finishing off with August. Carnage Perez is a wrestler, a local wrestler. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, as well as Paul in the 619. Farrell and Herferno is in the chat. He's going to do 90s nostalgia. Bayou Geek Collectibles, our pop guys. And finishing off with Spine Ticks. Spine Ticks is going to be on a Monday night, and Logan's going to be on a Thursday night. So be sure to check those things out as we go. Today, let's get into our Rushmore. We have spent already enough time chatting. I am excited to bring on our guest for today. And if you know anything about nostalgia and you know anything about me and Andy as kids, one of the biggest, most nostalgic things that we possibly could talk about is our love of wrestling. And today, we're starting one of our 3 wrestling episodes for the months of nostalgia, and we are doing one of our favorites, Big Men in Wrestling. Andy, are you ready?
Yes, let's get ready to rumble with the Big Men.
All right, Andy, you guys might know a little bit about the 80s, but this guy knows probably more. If you've been around the show for a while, we have friended a few people in the creator world, and we ran into a guy named Jason Nupp All Night, doing his new 80s revolution. He's been on the show twice. I think he was here for cartoons. He was on for cartoons, and he was on for wrestling belts, actually with Pac-Man Case. And he is a fantastic guy, and he connected with some of his community. And one of the guys that is joining us is from his community, a radio DJ, an 80s aficionado. Welcome to the show, our friend, Smash Ventura.
Holy macaroni! It's about time that I stepped into the Rushmore Show ring, Daddy. But I feel like we're a triple threat of the mega powers, because we really don't know what's going to happen here, man. But when we join forces, there's going to be an explosion of retro proportions, Daddy. Woo! Guys, thank you so much for having me here. This is the first one of these I've done in a long time, so I am both honored and privileged to be amongst you fine retro gentlemen. I'm so excited. I hope I don't step over my tongue, but if I do, it's going to be entertaining.
Yes. Well,
first and foremost, man, you've got the gift of gab. You've got the shtick, the gimmick, the lead. You're perfect for today's episode. But let me know and let our friends know that maybe have not ventured over to Livin in the 80s. What's the channel like? What's your deal? Why this wig, and why are you wearing the shirt of the band that you're going to see? What is going on, man? What is going on?
Well, first off, number one, it's a law that you wear your gimmick, baby. So, yes. And my face looks good on stuff when I have this wig. So, well, let me backtrack. So, I grew up obviously in the 80s, loved professional wrestling. I thought at one point I was going to grow up and be Hulk Hogan. I was gonna be 6'8" and 310 pounds of chiseled muscle, and I was gonna fight the bad guys. Well, genetics stepped in and said, not so much. So, so then I saw a movie called Good Morning Vietnam, starring the legendary Robin Williams.
The George of actors.
Yes. And his portrayal of DJ Adrian Cronauer, his personality on the air, what Robin did behind a mic, all of a sudden the spark was lit. And I'm like, I'll be a DJ, but I'll be the best DJ that there ever was, or at least I'll try. So anyhow, I thought, how do I merge my love of professional wrestling with my newfound love of radio at the time? I was about 9 or 10. And I thought, okay, I need a DJ name. So Smash is from Demolition Smash, and Ventura is obviously from Jesse Ventura. The long story short, the look is inspired by, in the case of the white glove, Michael Jackson. This is a little nod to Judas Priest.
Yes.
The hair is actually inspired by a cartoon me and my aunt enjoyed together, Gem. So the wild pink hair.
We talked about
truly
that.
Outrageous. Truly outrageous.
I actually have the pleasure of knowing and chatting with Samantha Newark. She's a wonderful, down-to-earth lady, and I'm hoping to have her on the show eventually. But Gem herself has talked to Smash and enjoys Smash. So I'm like, yes! But and then, of course, the glasses are quasi Jesse Ventura and obviously 80s. So I got into pro radio. I'll shorten this up, but I got into pro radio in 98, and they wanted me to be Benjamin Summers, and they wanted me to talk in a very mild voice and not share much emotion and whatnot. And I thought, why would anyone listen to that? So it took me a long time, but by 2009, my wife had said to me, why don't you just be yourself?
Nice.
So then I thought to myself, okay, the personality is one and the same, but I thought, okay, I need a look that matches the personality so that instantly people know they're getting an 80s show. Mm-hmm. Long story short, why an 80s show? I love that era. I love growing up in that era, the pop culture of that era. Movies, music, television. I mean, you guys know I'm preaching to the choir here. So it just seemed like a natural. And after a lot of years of really hard work, I'm very blessed to say that I get new people every day, and they're very kind, and some of them thank me for doing my show, and I'm honored. I really am.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're honored to have you on this show, man. It's very exciting. What's cool now, I'm sure, especially from Kirk's side of things, I don't know, probably hear my child screaming back there, but I was technically from the 80s. I was born in August of 1989, so I enjoyed it for 4 months.
All right.
4 months of the 80s. But I'm absolutely 100% a 90s / early 2000s product of that era. So most of the time, my stuff comes from that time. But that said, I super appreciate specifically the music and the movies of the 80s. When you mentioned Judas Priest, my dad raised me to be a giant Metallica fan.
Yes.
And Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and just all of these groups, Anthrax, all this stuff that was coming from that time. We were all about the thrash metal. But 80s are fun, man. And we talked about movies before. We did a whole John Hughes episode, right? I mean, it's everything so great. So anyway, all that to say, very glad you're here, and I see Kirk throwing up some Brittany messages.
Hey, before we get started, my wife, it says, "Hey, Dad, it's Carson is my daughter. They are in Colorado playing softball. They have been gone for nearly 2 weeks. And then I leave for a week, so it'll be like 3 weeks before I see them." So she is just saying she misses. They just called. They just finished up one of their games. They are doing fantastic. Love you guys, and we'll chat here as soon as this is over. But hey, some people are dropping some stuff in the chat. Andre, Hulk, and Flair are top 3. Today is big men in wrestling. So let's kind of define that for each of us. I kind of was going online, and almost everything I found for big men in wrestling was either a personality or it was an actual statistical size. I went and watched The Undertaker, one of my favorite podcasts, Put Under, and I went and watched his show, which Andy and I jokingly said we'd love to have him come on because he's always doing wrestling Rushmores.
Yes.
And one of the Rushmores he did was big men in wrestling, and he opened up with his idea of what the big man is, and it's anybody, for him, anybody 6'5" or taller, or 350 plus. Now, there's some guys that blend and mix. Andy and Smash and I were talking in the green room, and we all have a little bit of a direction where we're going, but I can promise you Ric Flair does not fit today's episode at any stretch of the imagination, even though he probably has the biggest personality of all. Spine Fix is in the house, just saying hello to my buddy Sith. Listen, my man just passed 200,000 on the subscriber mark. Yes. And when I started following him, I'm just feeling maybe it was because I started following him. Once I started following him, he blew up. Yeah, he blew up. He went from like 13,000 to now like 213,000. It's crazy. But we started following him back like spring break area. And he's blown up, dude. So also Barry's got a great show. That 80s Room's got a great show. Everybody go follow each other. Now, while I'm giving out some wrenches, here you go. And once you receive a wrench, guys, it is your opportunity to be a part of the community. Go and subscribe and like and share with everybody. But here's the thing. If you're new to the idea about YouTube, YouTube's fun. The community's better. And the best way to support your community is not just to go and hit subscribe, because you'll just disappear. You won't, it won't come in your feed, because the YouTube wants you to connect. And so the best way to do is, as soon as this show's over, whoever you subscribe with, go and check out a few shorts, sit a few comments, hit a few likes. But go and subscribe to everybody. If they're in this chat and I give them a wrench, that means I feel that they are a part of our community, and you should be too. With that being said, I'm going to throw out some wrenches. Smash. We're going to start the show. This is the big men in wrestling. So what is your criteria? What do you think a big man in wrestling is? Also, what were you thinking when you built this about maybe the nostalgia or the iconicness of something? Maybe it was a great champion. Maybe you got to meet him or whatever. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, we love being a part of your community. Thank you so much.
Mine says you're probably big enough that where you can maybe extend the invitation to the Undertaker for us.
There, yeah.
Maybe invite us in the same room. You know what I'm talking about?
You know what? My kayfabe uncle is Jesse Ventura, but he never sends a birthday card.
That's terrible.
But
absolutely terrible.
To answer your question, Kirk, so when I sat down and thought about this, my criteria was 6'5" and over, and about 350 pounds and over, and also that feeling of, if I were to run into this guy in the supermarket, does he have the factor?
Yeah.
like someone that, not so much that you just saw them on TV and you're wowed by the gimmick, but that you would see them in real life and you'd have that childhood moment where you'd be like, oh my, it's him.
Yeah.
Just like if you were to run into Kevin Nash, for example, you'd have to take a minute and go, or if you ran into Andre the Giant, God rest his soul, if he was still around, that instant, just in awe of the guy's stature,
Yeah.
So that was a big part of my criteria. The other two were.
So Barry must not have been listening when we found about your uncle, but he wants to know, Smash, you kin to Robin, Ace, or Jesse?
All three, baby. All three, Barry.
Look, a couple things before we get started. I missed somebody. Maybe you popped him up there, Andy, but Vogs jumped in, and I saw his message. Vogs, let's talk. Sports is in 2 months. We're all booked out for this month and next month, and you and your friends can come and join us for sports, and we will chat that up. And also, Retro Cannon in the house. That's my dude, my son. Everybody go subscribe to Retro Cannon immediately. We're going to do some pack ripping on the way, and we'll do some stuff at the convention tomorrow. But let's get started, man. Smash, you're up.
Yes, sir.
So number 1 is Roosevelt. He's 4th, what we consider on the mountain.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's our ranking. And we call him Rosie. So maybe even pick Rosie, but because Rosie was a wrestler.
That's true.
Who is your number 4 in the mountain? Now, this is one of the hardest ones, Smash. If you've ever been on our show, and dude, matter of fact, go watch that Undertaker video. Yes. He is broken up trying to figure out who to put on this list. And, he's obviously trying to avoid the idea of trying to put himself on. And then he's got some buddies. He's wrestled some people. He hasn't wrestled some. I can only imagine being in wrestling trying to figure that out. But when we do these things, we have such a love for it. Once you put number 4 on, you're saying everybody can't make the mountain. So this is probably the most important one next to the top dog, number 1. Yeah. So who's your number 4, and tell us why?
First off, I agonized over this because how do you just limit it to 4? But I guess there could be other Rushmores of more particular, like, okay, who's the best high flying big man? Who's the best power big man? But in this case, we're just going big men. So I thought long and hard about this, and the Teddy for me is going to be Bam Bam Bigelow.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'll tell you. Yes, I'll tell you why. For one thing, he just barely meets the physical dimensions of my criteria. Secondly, I do leave room for the gimmick. I love the flame tattoo on the head and whatnot, but also that wow factor of if I ran into Bam Bam Bigelow, if he were still around, the little kid would jump out because I would freeze up. I wouldn't know what to do because it's like, it's him. Yeah. Not to mention he was just a tremendous talent in the ring, and I don't think he gets quite as much love as he should. So Bam Bam's going to be my Teddy.
I love that pick. You took a Benjamin away from my list, so I'm already getting my list taken apart. But I will say, dude, I do love the gimmick. I mean, it looks. That's part of what I love about wrestling. Like, I don't want it. I'm cool with like the guys who are just like not real gimmick. Like they're just gonna. I loved Bill Goldberg. Now there was a gimmick to that, but it wasn't kind of like over the top.
Right.
But like, I love the flame shirt. I love the whole deal. But I just this guy, man. I tell you what, people think Post Malone's crazy for his face tattoos. Look at Bam Bam Bigelow's scalp. It's wild, man. I mean, that's the guy that not only look. If I run into him in a supermarket, but if I ran into him just in a dark alleyway. I'm going to see Jesus. I'm going to go see Jesus in just a few minutes. I know that's happening.
So,
get your affairs in order when you meet Bam Bam Bigelow, baby.
Let me just chat a little bit. Bam Bam is definitely on my Benjamins. That's one off the list that I can't grab. But an 80s icon, the number one thing whenever I think of Bam Bam Bigelow, the number one out of all the fantastic things is he was in that WrestleMania game, and he was my only in favorite. He was the only character I wanted to play with because he did the cartwheels. But I loved it when he was in ECW. He kind of failed miserably, and there's a couple really good videos of him out on the road with Kevin Nash and some of the Click guys. The Click really pushed him down because he was he had a really big drug addiction, and he was not too smart. And there's a couple videos that I've seen, like being on the road. One of my favorites was they were in like a convenience store, and he just kind of acts a fool and guns and things and Nash and I think it was DDP even were like, what are you doing? Why are you such an idiot? But he would have gotten a longer run and maybe a chance at at least an IC title or something like that. But he never could keep his personal affairs together, was one of the big deals. But his ECW run was fantastic. It really helped Paul E. over down, I say up, Philadelphia area to help raise that promotion. I love Bam Bam Bigelow. Good pick. He did a half moonsault off the top rope, and his size, by the way, and depending on where you go, they're all a little different because they always want to make them look bigger than they really were. But the main one that I found says he's 6'4", so a little under the height requirement. But he's 390. Okay. He's 390, so much over the weight size. Okay. And doing a somersault, moonsault, backflip, or whatever is crazy to even think that.
Right.
Yeah. This one says 6'3", 360. I don't even care if he's 390 or 360.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to clarify, like if they meet the weight requirement, but they're not ridiculously short, or if they meet the height requirement and they're just a smidge under the weight, then I would still count them in my list.
No. I'm not saying that it shouldn't count. He's on my vintage. I was just giving his stats.
Yeah.
I was just giving his stats.
Hey, we got somebody coming in.
I agree with both you guys because I looked up a couple of places myself, and it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, you two guys just now. One says he's a little shorter, the other one says he's a little taller.
It says I can hit 390 if I keep eating. Listen, after camp this coming week, and all the cinnamon rolls that we're gonna have, I might hit 390. I'm just saying. No, I'm gonna be the Bam Bam Bigelow of. I'm gonna get a
start cartwheeling, baby. Start cartwheeling.
This is a fantastic way to start the mountain. I love that. We got a lot of people in the chat. Look, we got somebody joining us from the Twitch side. Paint Red 02.
Wow, Paint, a Twitch guy. Welcome, Paint. Hey, look, if you can, YouTube is where the main chat is, but thank you for being here. Nikki 2 times in the house. Nikki's going to be on the show, I think, probably in the sports area as well. He likes to find open packs.
High school gym in New Jersey. He saw him in the ECW days. How cool is that?
Joyzy.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
I could eat 390 if I look. This summer I was supposed to try and lose weight, and every time I lose 3 pounds, I gain 6. So it's killing me. All right, well, we'll jump into mine. I kind of gave my stats out. I'm gonna go with 6'5", 6'6", or bigger, 350 plus or bigger, either or. So one of the two. I'm an 80s guy by trade in most things, but when it comes to wrestling, 80s is where I started, 90s is where it's at. 2000 is where it kind of died for me. And now I'm back hanging out with my kids, kind of watching the new thing. So I love wrestling, probably late 70s all the way to now. And there's just some pockets of time that I miss. These guys, for me, when I think big man, these are my guys. These are the guys I wanted the action figure for. These are the guys I wanted to play with. On the trampoline I'm acting like this guy. These guys were menacing. Now there are a couple guys. Andy, you mentioned Goldberg, and I wasn't going to say this. I wasn't going to say names in case other people say them, but Goldberg was one of the guys I wanted on my thing today. and he just is below both of those things. But when you look at him, his persona or who he was fit the bill as a big man. So if either one of you picked him or anybody in the comments picked him, that's fine. But a guy like Goldberg is not going to be on my mountain today, although I love Goldberg to death. Now, I'm going to start with my first one. This guy, billed out of North Carolina. One of the things that I love about this guy is he's in my fraternity. And that is one of the craziest things, knowing that he was a fraternity brother. And on top of that, he is one, you mentioned Smash, Bam Bam, as being just dynamic as a big guy. This guy does backflips off the top rope. He's been a heavyweight champion. He was billed as the son of one of the greatest. In 1995, joined WCW. 1999, went to WWE. And then now, not only is he acting, but he's hanging out in AEW. I'm going with the Big Show, Paul White. Yes. Listen, when Paul White first started, he was a basketball player. I think he played somewhere at a college in Tennessee, if it was not Tennessee. But fantastic. He came out with the choke slam, and they tried to kayfabe him into being a son of Andre the Giant. He even wore the same singlet. And then when he moved over to the other promotion, I don't know if you guys know this, but he named him the Big Show, and there was somebody else that went with him. Anyways, the Big Show was TBS, and the other guy was TNT, and I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but TBS was to nail out that we stole your guy, and they changed his name to the Big Show. And now he's just going by Paul White over in AEW. Fantastic champion. He is humongous. He bills at 7 foot, and now some places say 7'1", 7'2". 7 foot, and anywhere, depending on when you snatched him. If you got him back in the WCW days, he was much larger because he lost a lot of weight recently, getting himself in shape, and he's jacked. But anywhere from 375 to 470 was where I found the Big Show. Paul White is my number 4. Boom.
I love this pick. Also, one of the best theme songs, I think.
Oh, man. Well, it's the Big Show. First off, number one, that's a heck of a pick. I'll tell you my first impression of when I saw Big Show in WCW, I thought, this is what you get when you genetically splice Andre the Giant and Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
Nice.
And also,
both of those guys are welcome to be on the show today.
Yes. And also another early impression of him, I agree with you. They were trying to go, okay, you're a giant, just be a giant. But I saw him do a drop kick off the top rope on an episode of Nitro once. And he did it to Arn Anderson, who sold it like he got hit by a train. He rolled all the way out of the ring. And then on the way out of the ring, for some reason, before they went to commercial, he's leaning in and talking to Rey Mysterio. My dad sits back and he clears his throat and he goes, that's all we need is for him to start talking to Rey Mysterio. Because what else might he do off a top rope?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like this pick a lot. In fact, actually, this past week when I was on vacation, we went to North Carolina and we watched a Netflix original called The Big Show. I don't know if you've watched this sitcom that he's a part of.
Yeah. So now it's fantastic.
It's actually pretty funny. Like I was worried about it, but it's actually a pretty funny show. So I think there's only
Totally agree.
Thank you, Barry. Paul White played basketball at Wichita State, the Shockers.
Yes.
Nice.
If you don't all crush more, you're Washington's the Undertaker. What are we even doing here?
So, just stick around.
Hey, Alan says great.
Hey, Alan Williamson in the house. Welcome, Zach Sport Cards. Zach's another guy that we've invited to come over during sports. Nikki 2 times sports. Alan, if you want to join the show at any time, by all means, let us know. We'll be getting in touch with you guys soon. But yeah, the Big Show, man. I love this guy. You're right. He the Big Show on Netflix was fun. My kids loved it. It's kind of Full Housey with him in it type. It's a great. But what I love about the Big Show, and we can jump to the next one, is the evolution of his character. In the beginning, he was like a big dumb. I'm gonna be the giant. I'm gonna be like a bodyguard. And then he became when he went babyface and he became the lovable guy. Hoisting up folks like Rey Mysterio on his shoulders, and like he wasn't just the big dumb big guy. He got 2 big title reigns in WWE, and nothing really big. Now he's just kind of like he's the the big name, I guess, when he shows up at AEW with the Jerichos and those guys. When he shows up, he's just he's enjoying a part-time career doing this. But he's a fantastic guy, and he's got his life together as far as his body, because one of the things about him is he has the same disease or whatever as Andre the Giant. Now, we all know Andre the Giant didn't do what he was supposed to do. He drank like 3 kegs in a row or something. There's all these 700 beers at the bar. That he has tried to figure out this gigantism thing and trying to keep his life together, because he knows that what he has is very similar. And then, by the way, I forgot to show, Cannon brought me the Big Show action figure. So there you go.
I wonder if I can reach up to Andy here. Great sell, Andy. Man, I didn't even get up there yet. You're already selling.
Alan says average drinker. Yeah. Go find those things. What they were saying Andre was doing in the bar. It's crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Many of it is probably, honestly, like a part of the shtick, a part of the gimmick.
Folklore.
But I honestly believe that a lot of it he did do. I mean, because he was crazy huge.
Oh yeah. Well, and if I can throw in Big Show's a good pick for another reason. I'm sure I'm not the only one that felt this way, but when Andre was gone from wrestling, there was a void, and they tried to plug it with a few other big men I won't mention in case they're on somebody's list, but it just wasn't working. And then Big Show came along, and he had a lot of pressure on him because, of course, everyone's like, oh, okay, here comes another big guy they're going to try this with. But he was very talented in the ring. Mm-hmm. Once they let him talk, he could do an interview. He had his own type of charisma and presence. And so you can never fill the shoes of an Andre the Giant, but he definitely helped kind of get us past that void of, okay, where's our great giant guy next?
Yeah.
Where's that next?
We have a guy joining us, Paul. He's coming on to join us for wrestling matches later. I will say one of the greatest feuds and led to a great match was Paul White. Well, at the time he was the Big Show with Kurt Angle when he threw Kurt Angle off the top and it broke his back. And then Kurt Angle comes back and does a hair for hair match or whatever. They shoot him. He got shot with the tranquilizer dart. That's how Kurt had to stop him, shaved his head. That's a fun little stuff. But yeah, man, that is awesome. All right, Andy, we're barely there. I knew this was going to be a good one. Who is your why your Rosie and who's your Rosie?
Yeah, so criteria wise, I mean, you guys have pretty much talked about it all. I didn't necessarily put like a hard line on the weight versus the height, but if I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that's a large man, then it happened. But I will say, whether intentionally or not, I pretty much fell into those height and weight requirements like we're talking about, right? Some of mine might be under the 350, but their height is definitely, I think my shortest one today is 6'8". So, I mean, they're all tall. Every single one of these guys is tall. My first one, my Rosie, and then also I just, from a wrestling standpoint, I had to have enjoyed watching them. Not always necessarily enjoyed them because I loved the person, right? Because we know, what would wrestling be if it was just a bunch of faces? You need the heels in there. You need those, not even just heels, but like those anti-heel, like, it's like they can go one way or the other. They just had all these guys that would kind of tick you off, but it made for what is so great about wrestling.
Hey, hold on. Hey, He might go with the Kiss Demon today, but I think the Kiss Demon's a little small. I think he's a little small.
There he is. He's tall. But he's only like 285.
I like when Kiss Demon was MVP better, though. But anyways, go ahead. I digress.
Stop giving away my Benjamins. Anyway, here we go. No, I had to have enjoyed it, right? I had to, all this kind of stuff. So with that all said, I'm going to go, this guy, like, loved him and then hated him and then loved him and then hated him. And then, it was always kind of like back and forth with this guy between WWE, WCW, even a little bit of TNA as well. He made his wrestling debut in 1990. He's officially retired, sometimes makes some other appearances, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015. We're going to go WWE Championship one time, Intercontinental one time, two-time Tag Team Champion. Then WCW, he was the Heavyweight Champion 5 times, Tag Team Champion 9 times. He was the World War III WCW winner in 1998. I'm going to go with Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is that guy. He is
too sexy.
We talked about too. He's that physically imposing, massive guy. Now, you talk about NWO, talk about Red and Black, talk about having, being a big part of the Monday Night Wars and Hogan coming over and all of those types of things. But then you talk about the thing I hate, which is the whole tasing Bill Goldberg situation to end the streak. Not a great thing. He was also in the Punisher movie. He got boiling soup or something thrown on him. I don't remember in the original Punisher. Anyway, so not the original, the 2000, whatever one that came out. Anyway, he is fantastic. I loved Kevin Nash. I had a couple of the action figures, and I did see somebody on here say it. It's not a doll. It's an action figure. Get out of here with that. No, but Kevin Nash was the guy. Diesel, just the whole big shtick of his, and I loved him. I loved the partnership with him. I mean, I hated it because of the Bill Goldberg thing, but I think it worked really well. Him and Razor Ramon, at the time, and just the whole kind of NWO thing, the whole playing the bad guy, but it's kind of one of those heels that you love, right? You love that. It's what makes things go around. But yeah. I'm going to go with Kevin Nash to start off my Rushmore.
Listen, this guy was on my mountain, off my mountain, on my mountain. And look, my brain started moving, and I tried to figure out a few people that you guys might pick. And between the Big Show and Kevin Nash, it was 4-5, 5-4, 5-4, 4-5. I'm like, Kevin Nash is getting mentioned today for sure. The Big Show might not. Could be both. But with that being said, you took my number 5. We're on the Benjamins. Fantastic pick. You mentioned that he was in the movie. By the way, Paul White was not only in the Big Show, but he was also in The Waterboy, and he was in Jingle All the Way as the snowman.
He was.
I digress. Back to Kevin. Kevin, he was the Oz. He was also a part of DDP, is run with Diamond Dallas Page and the Vegas Stud. Yeah. He was a part of Wolfpack, which I said was my number 1 stable, and he had a demolishing power bomb.
Oh my gosh! Yes, dude.
Above his head, and it was awesome. I loved him most when he was Diesel. That woo woo, yeah, and I love because he was a huge face then. But Kevin Nash is amazing as far as wrestling. And I also mentioned this. I said The Undertaker has a great podcast. So does Kevin Nash. It's called Click This, I believe, KLIQ, because of the click. And just be careful if you have sensitive ears, because he doesn't hold back on the ratings, if you will. But he loves to hammer guys like Jim Cornette and everybody else. So, anyways,
yeah.
What do you think? I love what we're got going in the chat. Thomas J. Punisher, yes, was peak. Kevin Nash,
Like
good
this.
guy, but his knees were bad. Yeah.
He said, Nikki 2 times, my favorite hair in all of wrestling. And then Alan comes back and says, George the Animal had the best hair on his back anyway.
It's the second time George Animal Steel has been on the show. The first time was way back in wrestling. He was the George. We called it the George. It was a show that we did during one of our wrestling episodes. But yeah, George the Animal Steel. Man, he used to eat the turnbuckle. He might be on the show today too. He's a pretty big man.
You know what? Speaking of hair, I kind of feel like the three of us are ZZ Top. My last name should be Beard because I don't have one.
Yes.
Yes.
But
yeah. Yeah. Hey, love this pick. Kevin Nash, big sexy, big daddy cool, Diesel, you know, the Outsiders. Great pick, man. Great pick. All right.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up around now, man. Smash.
Round two. Round two. This is your number 3 on the mountain. We call him TJ Jazzy Jeff for Thomas Jefferson. Number 3 on the list. No need for introductions as far as criteria. You can just jump right in now.
King Kong Bundy, baby.
Woo!
5!
Go. Of course, 80s guy. Got to go with the Bundy.
That's right.
And so why King Kong Bundy?
First off, number 1, outside of when they got him early and he had the goofy sunglasses and the cape, erase that part. His gimmick was him. He didn't have exotic robes or fancy wigs or, you know, that kind of stuff. His gimmick was him. And I'll never forget in 1985 seeing a sign in the audience during Superstars of Wrestling, I think it was, where someone had drawn these really big legs on a sign and it said, Bundy suffers from the heartburn of thigh burn. But Bundy wasn't fancy in the ring, but everything he did, especially to me as a kid, looked amazing. Like even just coming off the ropes and landing on a guy with an elbow, it's like, good God, it's like the Hindenburg in black. It's like just everything. And I know, you know, later fans or, well, you know, wrestling technique. And Bundy was a big guy, and I loved big man wrestling, just these two giants fighting. And so Bundy, I love him because he just naturally was who his gimmick was. There really wasn't a separation between the two.
Yeah. I will say he looks like a giant foot with one. Doesn't he? Like it's just like
Butterbean, but wrestling.
He does not have a neck.
No,
he has no neck. No neck.
It was just straight shoulders. It's
the head the head rested on a tire of flab for extra flexibility.
He's billed at 6'4", 458 out of Atlantic City. He also just recently passed away in 2019 from diabetes. Are you shocked? I mean, the man is a humongous individual. I see some pictures here. He's had some great matches. Razor Ramon, Hulk Hogan. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. But he is one roly-poly man, if you will. He is.
He was his gimmick. That's all they needed. That's all they needed.
He looks like a foot. He looks like Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall.
Nikki 2 times says King Kong Bundy was a distant cousin, but I never met him. So I don't know if that's true or a joke.
Wow.
Or it's serious. But that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Very going with Randy Savage. Now,
let's talk about criteria.
Criteria. I don't know the Randy Savage. One of the big things about Randy was always that he was undersized. So he was at 237 and right at 6'2", 6'1", 230.
I think Savage is like one of those guys that the three of us were talking about before, where we were talking about our criteria, and Savage is one of those guys that physically was small, like Tully Blanchard, but their gimmicks were huge. Macho was
things about Randy was I've seen interviews of several wrestlers that were friends with him. He was never out of character, ever. They were like, they could have knocked on his door at midnight and show up, and he'd come out in his robe. Oh yeah, what's up, brother?
What you trying to say there, Kirk? Aha! I see you up there plotting. Ooh, yeah, dig it.
Yeah.
Justifiably in a bit.
Yeah. So we got
nobody.
His room is pulling Jig John Stud.
That's
Hillbilly Jim. That's some 80s guys. Jim Cornette is the best podcast. Here's the thing. I can watch him because I like that side, but sometimes I just can't take the whining. He whines a lot about wrestling, and he hates today's wrestling so much. I'm like, gosh, come on, man. I do like it, though. I do watch his podcast every once in a while. So, hey, look, it's my turn.
Yes.
And, my top three were – they weren't stuck there, but they really should have been. Once I got to get into this, I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. Yep, and yep. So here's the thing. I'm going with so earlier I went with a fraternity brother. This time I'm going with a guy whose family, he's an Air Force brat. So this guy is an Air Force brat. He started his career in wrestling as a dentist. Now you guys probably already know where I'm going. I'm going with the Big Red Machine. I'm going with none other than Kane. Now listen, when Kane first started as in his career, he was Glenn Jacobs, Dr. Isaac Yankum, and BBS was his original kind of name. He also, Andy, you mentioned Kevin Nash. He was also the fake Diesel, right? Kane's had several championship runs in all levels. He's been in WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, as multiple different things. He's won several Royal Rumbles. He's one of my favorite things was that he was so imposing as a guy. He's supposed to be like he came from the ashes. He was Undertaker's kayfabe brother. Undertaker still gets asked today if it's his real brother, which is hilarious. He's now the mayor in Tennessee. He is a guy that I would have never expected. Like when you ever see an interview with this guy, it looks like you're talking to your big brother or Uncle Charlie. I mean, he's such a normal, modern, run-of-the-mill type fella. But he, on Undertaker's podcast, he had Kane at number 2. And that was his number, his 2 on his list. And he said he was one of the most versatile guys. He could fit any role, even though he's supposed to be this mean, from the devil. He had a run with X-Pac, with the tag team belts. He had a run with Rey Mysterio. He had a run with just a bunch of these smaller guys. Mankind was a fun one. Brothers in Destruction was a fun one. But just him himself coming out, exploding the ring. I mean, one of the best entrances, menacing, several different styles of outfit. He was always one of my favorite guys to play in the video games because the Tombstone Pile Driver, whatever. I apologize right now, Smash. I usually put 2 or 3 shorts. I've been trying to figure out how to get these shorts out in time. And I had a short that I was working on for you today, and it was Kane being drugged under the mat. And I was working on it, and I couldn't get it to load. But, man, one of my favorite guys, legacy pick here. He is just a huge guy, Hall of Famer, mayor of 2018, mayor in Knox County, Tennessee. Yeah. I mean, there you go. Hall of Fame in 21. Dude, I can go on and on. Corporate Kane, forgot about that. Yeah. What's up? Vintage Sport Flips is in the house. That's Keith, probably. There's Keith and Andy. Those guys do a fantastic show. Similar to this, they do a top 5, and then they show off their stuff that they're resellers and stuff, and they find stuff that they go. Be sure to go follow Vintage Sports Flips. And they got another show that they're doing now called Rips and Brews. They're ripping packs. Go check those both out. Those are pre-recorded, but hey, if they're here, they're friends of ours. Go follow those guys. Citizen Mayor Kane. That's hilarious. Andy, I know you love this guy. I have a feeling we'll talk about him again. What do you like about Kane?
I've never heard of him before.
No. Smash. Do you like Kane?
I love Kane actually, but let me pose a question to you guys. So, physically he was intimidating as Fake Diesel, but if you rewind to his earlier career as Unabomb in Jim Cornette's Federation,
now you're coming out, yeah.
Now, wouldn't he have made a better fake Sid? Because he looked more like Sid then.
He did look like Sid, but there we go.
Yeah. No, love Kane. I actually remember all the way back to when he was in WCW and they completely wasted him. They had him as a Saturday.
WCW was my favorite promotion at the time. But looking back, I go, wait a second. You have all these guys? What the heck?
Yes, yeah. Well, they brought him in on an episode of Saturday Night and they called him Bruiser Masato, I think it was, and they had Sting beat him in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll say he was as Unabomb. He was tag team, or he was partnering with Al Snow.
Yes.
Bruiser.
Yep.
He was in SMW, USWA, WCW. He's from Missouri. He went to Northeast Missouri State, now Truman, where he played basketball and football. Shocker.
Ooh. But yeah, no, I liked him right from that first point because I just felt like he was going to be something. He just needed the right thing. The dentist gimmick, I will confess, drove me nuts. I hated that.
Dude, I love this. Look at Barry Barry. Dude, so witty. Kane realized that the name Sugar Cane wouldn't work as a dentist. Actually, it probably would have. That'd have been awesome.
You're rocking, Barry Barry.
Because if you've seen Dr. Isaac Yankem, his teeth were jacked.
And the theme song was just, please, kill, just don't. Oh.
It was kind of in the. It was kind of in the time of. I feel like the plant, the Seymour. The horse.
Yeah.
Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Little Shop of Horrors. Thank you.
Feed me, Seymour.
He was
Yeah. Specs Appeal in the house. Another one of our modern day Breakfast Club friends. Another one of our Spine Ticks friends. Welcome, Specs Appeal. Fantastic show. She does a lot of cooking and things. And man, welcome.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
Yeah. So as I move on down my list, to be honest though, like my 4 and my 3, like, you know, I could interchange things or whatever. My 2 and my 1 were locks, without a doubt. And with all of that said, for my next pick, I'm gonna go with it's the show. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had to do it, man. I
would have been right either way. So okay.
Yeah, he was gonna get mentioned. When I think big man and wrestling, literally Big Show's the first person that comes to mind. Not that he's my favorite, so which is hence why he's my 3.
Uh-oh.
But it's what I think when I think big man and wrestling. This dude was severely just overshadowing everyone in as far as height, size, everything, right? The dude's choke slam, I feel like if it were to happen to me today, I literally am dead. I mean, I don't know how people survive. And I understand there's an art to wrestling. I get all that. But I had to go with Big Show, 7 feet tall, 485. You know, you said fluctuates. You know, we understand it's various sources. But I mean, at that point, when you're weighing 485, you might as well just say 700. I mean, what is the difference when it comes to wrestling? It's just crazy. This guy is huge. I liked him back in the WCW times. I liked him in his WWE times. All of that was where it was at. I just was a big fan of that. And I pulled up, again, just to kind of go over some stats again, from the WWE championships. He had 2 of them, 2 world heavyweight champions, ECW world heavyweight 1 time, Intercontinental Champion, WWE 1 time, United States Champion 1 time, Hardcore 3 times, Tag Team 3 times. He had all these things. WCW Heavyweight 2 times, WCW Tag Team 3 times, debuted 95, inducted eventually finally to the Hall of Fame in 2021 as a part of NWO, which was, again, hey, I got 2 kind of running that NWO train here. But yeah, there was just so many amazing things when it comes to watching him I'm watching, wrestling in those kind of like 90s, early 2000s time. That's really kind of the time when it's piquing my interest. When I looked at, and again, now these are just like various statistics. He had approximately just under 1,800 matches that he's been a part of. Now that's tag team, literally everything involved there. 800 some odd wins with all of that kind of stuff. And again, now that's, stats that you get online are kind of varying all over the place. But yeah, the Big Show has got to be on my list. That's why I'm going to go with him for my TJ Jazzy.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, Hopper in the house. Welcome to the show. Hopper, we're discussing big men in wrestling. I don't know that I've ever met you, and if I have, I'm sorry, but this is actually for you. Welcome to the Summit Squad.
You gave him a Rushmore. That wasn't a Summit Squad.
Yeah.
Oh, I hit the wrong one. Crushing.
Hopper, you should feel special because you're the first inductee into the Summit Squad who's also gotten a Rushmore song played for you at the same time. So one of a kind.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Hopper. Hopefully you pull up a chair, you stay a while. It's the Monday Night Wars. We're looking at both of them. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And Andy just came with a Rushmore with the Big Show. I've already talked at length about this guy, but I did mention he was in my fraternity. And I remember finding this out, and he has his fraternity tattoo, and it's right above his boot. And so usually nowadays, when he wears his tights, they're big and long like this. And but whenever he wears the short boots, you can actually see it. But that was really cool. And Wichita State, that's awesome. Oh, look, Retro Cannon's in the house. Everybody go follow Retro Cannon in the comments. And so here's the deal. The Big Show, I was wrestling in, there's Retro Cannon. There's his thing. I was wrestling to go back and forth with picking Nash or the Big Show. And they, like you said, they're interchangeable. Yeah. I just threw another guy in this list today that you're probably not going to have. And it sounds like we're going to be pretty close, Andy, to my brain, and I know. So, Smash, do you have any more you can say on the Big Show?
Well, you know what amazes me? Well, I'll say this. Towards the end of his WWE run, he seemed to flip-flop too much, but I will say I really enjoyed the angle where he was knocking people out with his fist, and especially the one involving Dusty Rhodes where he didn't want to do it, and he was crying, and Stephanie McMahon was yelling at him and saying, "Knock him out," with that Wicked Witch of the West voice. And Big Show's like, "I'm sorry, Dusty," and Dusty's looking up at him like, "Uh-oh." And he just clocked him, and Dusty, just without taking a bump, Dusty Rhodes, the great legend that he is, made it look awesome, still being on his feet, and Big Show got him because he just went, "Ugh." And Big Show held him.
Welcome to the show, Captain Insano. Exactly.
Finally, Captain Insano has shown up, so therefore you will all fear his wrath. I love me some Captain Insano. Please do not drink the water.
Michael, the Coco Truth Spitter in the house, man.
Woo!
Oh, guys, welcome to the show. I just gave one of these out, but I'll give another one, and it's time for a commercial break. Anyways, so here you go. This is for you guys. Now, one of the reasons I give that out is it's an opportunity for us to tell you guys, look, I'm handing wrenches out to you guys. You guys have been the show. As long as you act cool, I'm okay with throwing those around. I give the wrenches because this community is a bunch of different creators, and we love for you to go and follow them. If you have a wrench, you have some opportunity to right-click on those, and you can find their channel and subscribe. But don't just subscribe. Go and visit their channels like you are here today. Hopefully you stay a while and hang out. Welcome here. We're talking top 4 big men. In order to be a part of the show, it's to shoot your top 4, your 4 favorite big men. Now, we have a bit of a criteria that we go along with. Most of ours is about 6.5 foot to 350 plus pounds, but either or. So what your big man is what yours is. So, but it's time for a commercial break. And here is one of the things. First off, we have a great message this Sunday at noon, noon Eastern time, 11 Central time on Inside Out 2. And it is on navigating anxiety. If you've seen the movie, be sure to check it out. If you haven't seen the movie, you might want to hold off just a hair, but still go in there and give it a like and subscribe and check it out for later. But it's a message. It's part of our reboot in our devotion. And the next thing I want to talk about moving into that is our reboot trailer.
Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
But sir, they're getting closer.
Oh yeah? Watch this.
Guys, the cat's out the bag. Both Andy and I are both pastors. We're both youth pastors. We're both teachers. We're both parents, and we love just sharing the love that we have received through our local church. And one of the ways is we go to these conventions, and we have 2 conventions that are coming up. This is the old flyers, but these are to remind me that we have Louisiana Retro Con and St. Tammany Collectors Con that we're a part of, as well as I'm going to Siege tomorrow, which I'm not in it, but I will be there. And we go and we do the gospel at these shows. We've been convicted that some people that are coming to the shows are looking for the protester on the outside being the Christian, but we're actually the Christians that are inside hugging and loving on people and sharing just what God's done in our life in a real not creepy way, but using it as a nerdy way. And you can check out some of those messages on our homepage of the YouTube. There is a whole playlist for those. And we have a new one coming out this Sunday. Now, also, Andy, we have some friends right over there over your shoulder called Culture Box. It's 5 different creators that we're a part of. They're all Christian, and they all into something different, geeky. Some do board games or like Dungeons and Dragons. Some do reviews of movies and TV. Others do video games. But we're all friends, and we're all a part of something. Who are we going to highlight today for this episode?
Well, I think it'd be fitting. We have an episode with this podcast coming up pretty soon because one of their 2 hosts just got married.
Congratulations, Jacob!
Jacob just got married. He's on honeymoon, and they're in that phase right now, or that kind of season right now. So we are going to promote our good friends over at the Cellcast. The Cellcast hosts Jacob and Drew review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it's a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com. Hey, go check out
the first time we've done commercials and actually gained some viewership, Andy. We usually lose a few. Hey, thanks for hanging around here. We're going to jump into the second part of our mountains, and we've already finished the first half. Dylan Thibodeau in the house. Dylan, how was the clash of titans, if you will, at youth camp? How was that? Because
let me mention this. Can I mention this real quick?
Right?
Yeah, let me mention this real quick. So Dylan and I, along with the other coaches at youth camp, at the end, the celebration service that night, we were told we're going to be put in these inflatable sumo costumes, and we literally had to fight each other out of this like area. It was almost like Royal Rumble style.
Yes.
And thankfully, one of the other youth pastors was like, "Hey, we should totally script this and just make it fun. It's not worth points, whatever." I was like, "Thank you," because these things are just air. There's not really cushion happening in these. So we just scripted up this whole WWE wrestling match in front of all these students. Dylan says it right there. Andy hurt me. Dylan hurt me too. But part of it is because we didn't really have practice for anything. And I went to duck, and he like clocked me right in the left ear. It was not fun. I mean, it wasn't, intentional, I don't think, Dylan, although maybe you were hurt. Yeah, there's the picture. There's a picture right there. Look at me. I am airborne in that sumo suit with Dylan.
And Andy, that's the best shot since the Apollo moon landings.
There it is. And then Dylan goes on to say, Andy is my George for big men in wrestling. That's what I'm talking about.
Woo!
All 5'10", 250 of me, Yeah.
Well, Andy and I are going to camp this week in children's camp, and I don't know that there's another children's pastor out there that's going to be able to rival you, Dylan. So I think, Andy, you're going to take that championship. So for sure. Patrick Little in the house. Welcome to the show, bud. Good seeing you. Leave your top 4 big men. All right, here we go. Second half of the mountain. This one is Abraham Lincoln. We call him Link. Number 2 on the mountain. Who's your second best big man in history?
Oh boy. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with Yokozuna, and I'll tell you why. I've been a fan of his since he was in the AWA, which is a little known fact out there. And also a quick memory. He was wrestling as Kakino Maximus. And you can find it on YouTube. There's a match of a very young Yokozuna as Kakino Maximus versus a very young Ron Simmons who ain't having it. And Yoko wasn't as big as he was in later years, but he was still a big man. And Ron Simmons hoisted him up and slammed him like it was his job. Nice. And for the sake of the audience, I'll do the clean version. Dang.
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 Means is that
Smash
Yokozuna, let me just throw this before I forget. Yokozuna was number 4 on Undertaker's Mountain.
Yeah.
He was number 4. And one of the things that he said was, for his size, he was the most agile of a guy that you could see. He did that sweet chin music quite a bit. He jumped off and sat on them. But he is actually Samoan and played the sumo wrestler. He played with Mr. Fuji and did the whole as if he was Japanese, which fit well. But he's cousins of the whole Rock and Roman Reigns and Alpha and Sika and Rosie and all of those guys. He's cousins of all those fans. Rikishi Mountain as well. But these guys are all fantastic. Yokozuna died too soon, obviously, but he was billed at almost 600 pounds while he was wrestling. And I think I saw a video kind of studying for this, that he was a little shallow of 500 for real. So, there's one of them. That's Roman. So,
I'll say too with
Yokozuna, great pick.
Yokozuna, Seth, or Smash. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I said Seth just now, but because I'm so mad because you're taking all my Benjamin. There's another Benjamin that's gone. No, I got some more. Hopefully, I can hold on to him. Yokozuna, much like Bam Bam Bigelow, was another one in the WrestleMania arcade game, which was fun.
I love this real quick though. You said Bam Bam Bigelow. It must have been autocorrect, but Bam Bam
Nigel Thornberry.
Bam Bam Nigels.
Yeah. So this is good. You know, obviously one of those gone too soon kind of deals. I think it was like 34 or something. They said, or so, it was like really young, and even with the limited amount of time that he was in wrestling, the impact that he made. Can you imagine? It's like you know, you from a music standpoint, like you hear about the 27 Club, right, and all those. You know, the Kurt Cobains, the Winehouses, the Otis Reddings, all of these people who are like in this way too young kind of age, and what music would look like today, like what would have wrestling been? Now I know like that whole Samoan family, like you just talked about, you know, has obviously been very, very successful, but just to add that other element of this in here is just he's again, definitely gone too soon. Fantastic wrestler. You know, for being as big as he is, to be able to do the things he was able to do is pretty impressive. You know, it's not just like just size for gimmick purposes. He was
well, Undertaker was so the Clique, which was Nash and Shawn Michaels and Triple H, that whole DX group, along with those guys. That was one of the like background underground wrestling gangs, if you will. But Undertaker was in a similar thing, and Yokozuna, Savio Vega, and several of those guys were in his kind of crew. And he will tell you, because I watch his show often, that he said Yoko was probably one of the. He said he would move like a cat, and just as being as big as he was. But yeah, lost too soon. Obviously, I think he had something to do with his heart, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but he had a huge title run. Now, this is the key about that title run. Before that title run, mostly was a string of faces, mostly a string of guys holding the belt for years, being the good guy. And he took it and ran it as the bad guy. And it kind of flipped WWE, well, F back then, on its head and kind of made a run. And then when he got beat, he had a pretty terrible run with a couple other people. He got partnered as a tag team, and it didn't work out so good. He had like a beard, but it didn't really last as long as he should have, and then he passed away too soon. He had a good run.
Yeah,
good pick, though.
Definitely.
Love that.
You know, one radio friend said it best. He goes, you know who Yokozuna is in the music world in terms of the amount of impact he had and the short run that he had and the incalculable, gigantic further impact he would have had if we didn't lose him so soon. I go, who is he in the music world? And he goes, my friend goes, Buddy Holly. And I'm like, that is a very interesting and I think very accurate assessment.
Yeah, for sure. I love that pick. All right.
Fantastic.
Well, I love the pick. I hate that you're taking all of my Benjamins. But the good is only one more pick, and I have more than one Benjamin, so at least I do have something. So, well, I'm glad they get mentioned today. So it helps out. So Kirk, let's go to you, man. Your link. What you got, buddy?
Yeah. I don't know if the show is going to be boring from here on out, but I think almost everybody can figure out where we're going because you've watched our show before. But without question, when you build a mountain of these big mans, of this big mountain, you got to have these two left. And I'm coming with my man Fezzik, right? There he is. Andre the Giant is on
another Benjamin
day, and Princess Bride himself, Fezzik. But here's the thing. Andre is amazingly special because of his size. We mentioned the gigantism, but the drinking, the bar. But he was larger than life. He was billed. Let me scroll back. They always said he was like 7 foot, blah blah blah. But I think he was really more closer to 7'1" or 2" when he ended up. But when he was like 12, he was over 6'4", something like that. At 12, and he was early as a kid So they say he was 7'4", 520 build. I mean, that's kind of what. But huge man. I love seeing the pictures of his hand just being like just massive. Can you imagine the slap over the chest with that dude? But his big moment wasn't even his. It wasn't even his. So he's this large, oversized guy in Hulk Hogan WrestleMania in front of 93,000+ people, hoists this big-bodied fellow over and slams him. And wrestling was now a staple in most people's home. He held 3 titles, WWF. He held the IWA World Tag Team Champions along with Michael Nader, and then NWA United National Championship was his big one, the Triple Crown. But the World Heavyweight Champion, he held that and basically handed off the baton to none other than the American hero at the time, Hulk Hogan. And which, love him or don't love him, Hulk changed the sport completely after that baton toss. And so, I can't have a mountain without having Andre on it. Andre the Giant is the mountain. Yeah.
I love that pick. This is another Benjamin. I mean, it's before my time, so that's kind of why he slipped. I mean, it's way before my time, so that's why I slipped him a little bit further down than maybe most people would have him.
Right.
But yeah, you can't deny this is where the big man kind of got its. I mean, it may not officially have gotten its start here, but this is, for all intents and purposes, where it got its start.
Oh.
Yeah, Bam Bam Bigelow has definitely been mentioned. Also, his brother Bam Bam Nigel was mentioned earlier.
Oh, Dean Malenko. Wait a second. Dean Malenko doesn't fit on today, but if you know me, Dean Malenko is on my mountain of all-time wrestlers.
Yeah.
He's on my personal mountain of all-time wrestlers. For a long time, he was my favorite. Retro Tiburon, yes, Bam Bam Bigelow was mentioned. Hulk Hogan is your favorite. Hulk, it could possibly make it. He fits the height requirement, doesn't fit the weight requirement, but he does. And he could be on the mountain today or somebody's mountain. And Yokozuna was legit. We already mentioned him. But yeah, this is so Andre didn't fit yours because, and I knew that. Kind of older for you. Smash, 80s guy. What do you think about Andre?
You stole him from me, man. You stole him.
Was he one of your Benjamins?
He was, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew he was going to be mentioned. I mean, there was no way. I was maybe potentially.
I agree, Andy. And there's no way I could sit down and even think the word big men without Andre the Giant sitting there. It's just, he casts
I have 5 Benjamins. I mean, I have 5 Benjamins left right now on my official list.
I have quite a list that I can shoot you. I just rewatched Princess Bride. Check it out.
Basically, my Benjamins was Andre is the centerpiece, which Kirk ruined that. Thank you. And a bunch of other guys I threw in. But Andre was the centerpiece, Kirk. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? When you say, are we going to hit warp speed? I'm going to tell you, Mr. Sulu don't understand what you're saying because he's sleeping right now. Captain Kirk, man.
Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right,
all right.
This is fun. This is fun. I love it.
We are officially to the George.
No, we're not. I didn't mention my.
Oh, I forget. I paid it off. It's your turn now.
Come on, man. Come on.
I forget. It's the first of a new episode. I've been used to for like 9 weeks going last.
Well, and I understand why you probably forgot it because. I'm going with Kane. Yeah, obviously Kane is the guy. Listen, my top two, without a doubt, were etched in stone. They probably will forever be because I'm not really into wrestling as much now. It's cool. I just don't ever really watch it. So these are definitely going to be etched in stone forever. Kane was where it was at, and I understand all his other gimmicks. I get all the other things we kind of talked about earlier, but the only thing that I knew of him was Kane. Right, that was it. I just knew Kane. I knew the whole like story about him being under.
Be Kane.
My God, it's Kane. That man's me dead. With Kane, this dude was like, talk about the most intimidating character potentially that there was. You talk about the flames and all that. You know the like that. It was fantastic. The whole like him versus Undertaker kind of being the situation.
Wait, dude. Has anybody seen this? If you haven't seen this, Patrick, I know all about this. There's an indie wrestler.
Oh, Blue Kane.
Exactly like Kane, but he's blue. He comes out and does everything to the T. It is hilarious.
Yes.
And he is a terrible wrestler.
Yes.
He's awful. Dude, go check that out. The Blue Machine.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Check
Not
this
the Blue
out.
Meanie, the Blue Machine.
Yeah.
So Kane, again, a quick search shows me just under 2,000 matches, 1940. That's what he has. 890 of those were wins, plus some draws and some different things in there too. But yeah, Kane was where it was at. Now, I will say this for Kane's character, and I understand that they have to move along storylines and they have to do things and they want to make things new and fresh. I wish they would have just stuck with the Kane who doesn't speak. He just comes in, choke slams you, and gets out of there. Like this, he was like literally an unstoppable force in my mind. Also, you know, Kane makes his debut. Well, let me. I have it up here. Just a second. I'll tell you. 1992, right? Wrestling debut is when he made his that happen. So you have all these, but Kane, me is like an 8, 9, 10-year-old. This was where it was at. Oh, is that Blue Machine right there?
Blue Kane.
So his gimmick is he's like ice or snow.
Yeah.
It literally looks like they took a picture of Kane and put a Snapchat filter on it.
I'm surprised that his theme song wasn't "They Call Me Snow Miser, whatever I touch."
The big snow.
Well, it's the big snow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Get the shovels.
Things in there. Like the Blue World Order. Yeah, that's Blue Meanie. Agreed. Mass Kane was the best Kane. Mass Kane was great. What I loved about Kane, though, is when that Mass Kane, wrestling has to be dynamic to try and keep people going, right? Yeah. And so you see the same thing over and over again. So they're trying to make a change, and it worked for him. It may not have worked for every one of the fans, but a lot of times people get a new gimmick, and it doesn't work, and they just crash and burn. And then, like one of the guys, well, he might be mentioned later, and if he does, I'll talk about it. But there are a couple guys that got new gimmicks, and they just disappeared. He lost the mask, and I remember that haircut he had was hilarious. Like, it was just like a patch right here, and like face is all black, and he's like freaking out. But what a cool storyline, a cool gimmick. I remember when it happened, we were all like, for months they were leading up about this guy. Paul Bearer is talking about what's going on, and all of a sudden, Paul Bearer's upset, and he brings back his brother, and man, it was so cool. It was amazing. But hey, look, some people. What about Zeus? Yeah, I was just talking about that movie the other day. No Holds Barred. WCW Giant was awesome. We mentioned him twice, actually. Kane was the dentist. Yep, we mentioned that. Dr. Isaac Yankem. He was also Fake Diesel. He was also a couple other things. We also, hey, you mentioned the Yeti, which is hilarious. The Yeti was Ron Reese. He isn't mentioned yet. He isn't on there here yet. Maskless Kane was I can agree that the one with Kane was better. Big Daddy Cool been mentioned. So, all right. So we are to the George Smash. This is your number one pick, your best ever, your top. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you remember this, but Kane was green one time.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
And pink.
I think it was
for like Hurricane.
Yeah, when he was with Hurricane. Yeah,
with the Hurricane. Well, he was. Remember that. So
that's what I'm talking about. Like
he tag teams with Hurricane.
Wrestling, you know, you can't tell me wrestling's not real when you have green Kane. I mean, like, come on.
He also tag teamed with X-Pac. He was part of the DX.
Which was awesome. I love that tag team.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So Smash, we're to you, man. We are at our George, the number one.
He might have been green with X-Pac too, but I know he was green with Hurricane for sure.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna have to make this one era specific because he was a little bit bigger before he became somewhat streamlined for the 80s. But I'm gonna say 1970s Hulk Hogan. The incredible Hulk Hogan. Now this is 70s Hogan, so we're talking like stuffing a metal object down his elbow pad and clocking Andre the Giant.
The old Terry Bullet, he was just in blue. Just a blue.
Well, with Freddie Blassie, he had like white tights, but anyhow, there's something about 70s Hogan, and then 70s Hogan was kind of crystallized into Thunder Lips in Rocky III in the early 80s. But yeah, I'm gonna say 70s Hogan because he was about 25 pounds heavier, and in his own right, he was kind of a giant then.
Yeah. And back then, I mean, he talked about the pythons. He talked about, and he was larger than life.
Yeah.
Hulk would have made my mountain today, but when I see Hulk as one of the greatest of all time. Regardless if you like him or not, I find it really hard not to put him on the GOAT mountain. But he's at least in the top 5 or 6 for me. But when I think big men, right, he just fits right. So I don't know. Here's a couple guys: Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Bray Wyatt. These guys, really large guys. Even Scott Hall, right, was kind of fit into that spot. But you never saw them as the biggest of the big. And one of the reasons with Hulk was because he fought Andre, and Andre made him look small. And you kind of were like, whoa. But freaking Hulk was huge. I mean, he's called the Hulk for a reason. And I'm going to tell you, he was number 6 on my list today. If he would have made it, he would have been my first pick in the Benjis. Yeah, for sure. Just because of his sheer size and personality and what he did for the wrestling game. But yeah, I applaud this too, for sure.
Cool with Hulk Hogan. Not long ago, at the end of I think 2023, got baptized. His really kind of like a very strong, at least.
So, after he went through his divorce and Randy's death and a few other things, and then he had the scandal where he said the N-word, and then he had some other things that were going on. He did have kind of a reawakening, and you know what? It's not the first. A lot of wrestlers have. I mean, Shawn Michaels is another guy that kind of throw out there, but there's a bunch of them that have done that. And
Ted DiBiase.
Applaud. Ted DiBiase's Pastor Ted DiBiase now.
Another guy who might be mentioned in a few minutes is also very outwardly Christian too. Very open. So So Crash Holly's been mentioned multiple times in the chat. Yeah, I almost threw a Crash Holly sighting out there because he's so small. Akeem the Dream. Now listen, Akeem was a funny guy, one-man gang, but Akeem was the WWE trying to make fun of Dusty Rhodes, right? And it is probably the most. Can you imagine if Akeem came out today? I mean, he would have 100% been canceled. 100%.
He had one dance move. He should have been canceled on principle. I mean, I love the wrestler, but the whole dance move Slick's jiving around, jab so pro, a jab so pro, and he's just like, he's got less rhythm than I do, for Pete's sake.
I love this comment. Zach says, Hulk is my Michael Jordan, but not my big man. I agree. Bruno,
That's a good point.
Bruno also fits that Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan body fit. The Berserker, man. Oh, by the way, dang.
Berserker's a good point. Yeah.
Real quick, where I think it was.
We're having technical difficulties. Grab an intermission. Grab a.
Technical.
Look at some nachos. And some
Picture. It was X-Pac and Green Cane. So whoever mentioned that was right for that portion too. So and thank you for adding to the chat. Yeah, my turn. And without a shadow of the doubt, it is. I've mentioned him already like 4 or 5 times tonight. He is on my mountain of all wrestling that I possibly could do, and I'm going with Undertaker. Now, listen, Nikki 2 times. You can still hang around with us if you're still out there. Yes. Oh, there it is. But Undertaker. Now, listen.
Put the music on there for you.
The Undertaker is wrestling to me. Let me just tell you, WCW was killing the game, and Undertaker held his ground over at WWE. And the only reason I would ever flip over there was to see, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and then eventually Stone Cold The Rock. But I would only flip over to see if I could hear that bong, right? And if once that hit. And I've been in WWE shows, and they time that thing where they hit that sound so perfectly, and you're like, just where's he at? What's going on? And I've been to the Royal Rumble twice where that thing hit. Undertaker is wrestling to me. I was upset Brock broke the streak. I was upset. I'm upset every time he lost in history. I love the run with Kane. I loved the run with Mankind. I love the run as corporate ministry. I loved the run as the American, that guy where he was riding the motorcycle. I know that got a bad rap, but again, you've got to mix these guys up. And he went from being like Purple Taker to fighting the Underfaker to the urn got burnt, melted down, and he didn't have the urn anymore. It was made into a chain. Like, he's had so many storylines. He is the Hall of Fame for me. If we ever do a Goat Mountain, he is absolutely on it. I'm trying to figure out the other 3 because there are some really heavy hitters that I love. Undertaker is at the casket matches, Hell in the Cell matches. He's held multiple titles. In all levels, and most of his run where he found success was after leaving WCW as Mark Calloway. Again, another guy WCW was like, we ain't got nothing for you. The Triple H's of the world, the list is fantastic of what went through. And he moves over. They give him an opportunity. He has epic matches with Bret Hart. He has epic matches with so many people, and he all but owns WWE. Listen, he can walk in and do anything he possibly wants. Triple H is the guy now, but if Undertaker comes in and says, "Hey, this is what we're doing," Triple H is like, "Yeah, you got it. Let's do it. Let's put that together." He is wrestling nowadays. Undertaker.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That is a fantastic pick, and let's just keep talking. Yeah, he's my George too. I mean, we're just gonna keep this rolling. He is by far what I want with wrestling. There's literally never going to be a wrestler above Undertaker for me. We're talking about WrestleMania, the arcade game. This was the only person I was playing with. Every single time I was playing with this guy. Also, as a kid, we had a trampoline playing wrestling. It was right next to our fence. I would grab whoever I'm wrestling. You twist their arm. You go jump up on the fence, and you do that chop on the arm thing he would do off the ropes. Dude, that was so cool. You know, we talk about, gosh, the tombstone. We talk about everything that he does. The whole entrance. I mean, listen, his entrance was primetime TV.
Ooh.
Just watching him walk to the ring. You have the whole Paul Bearer time. Ooh, yeah. Paul Bearer, which is the best name, I believe, for in wrestling. It just fit with perfect. But anyway, yeah, this is wrestling. I love Purple Undertaker. I love every kind of, you know, he went through the ministry, which, you know, we just talked about, right? Ministry of Dark. We talked about how he is very openly Christian now. He's confessed his faith in the Lord, which is so cool to see, which is so like, wow, you don't think the Undertaker. I mean, think about his character and everything that he was. Start doing that. He's talked about how he was very uncomfortable doing like the ministry side of things, where it kind of became this you know, satanic almost in nature and demonic and different things like that. But you had that era, you had his motorcycle era, you've had just everything that's happened. And also 25-2 in WrestleMania. Come on. I hate Brock Lesnar for that one reason. It's the only reason I hate Brock Lesnar. I just never want to see Brock because of that reason. I hate what they did there in the writing of that. And I think they've actually even talked about how that's kind of like one of those black eye sort of mistakes that wrestling has kind of come across.
Well, I will say this. They were trying to kind of erase it, if you will, and rewrite history because of the scandal with Vince, and Brock was a part of it. And now Brock is kind of getting a pass for his portion. So it sounds like Brock's going to be coming back. And so here's the deal. Undertaker, I had the wrestling dummy. I dressed like him. I wanted to be like, he was cool. I wanted to get a neck tattoo of my girlfriend right across my throat, right? But he had multiple finishers too, right? The Tombstone Paul Driver, right? Then he did the power bomb for a while. He did the off the top rope. He buried him. He did so many cool things.
Also, are we going to talk about Undertaker and not talk about throwing Mick Foley off the Hell in a Cell? Like, I mean, that is
mentioned over here. It was just mentioned over here.
Yeah,
my favorite moment, best memory, Farrell, who's on the show for 90s Memories. His best memory was when Mankind got thrown off the cell.
Are we going on talking about wrestling matches in a couple weeks? Individual matches. I'm just
saying. That match is probably on my mountain. I don't. It's going to be hard not to make it on my mountain. Yeah. But that match is pretty fantastic. Top 4 big man wrestling. Yes, Jay Thompson. Big men, we consider them above 6'5", 350, either or, kind of in that area. But yeah, so Undertaker's my George. Undertaker's your George. And Hulk Hogan 70s version is your George. Yeah, The Last Ride. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, the motorcycle scene, the American BA guy wasn't well loved and well received, but
when he came out to Limp Bizkit live at that WrestleMania, dude, that is where America.
You know what? I gotta confess, I dug the biker gimmick, but kind of when it morphed into the big evil part, where he'd come out. It was almost like he was a schoolyard bully, and I loved that about him.
When you change it, when it changes, and then it gives an opportunity to come back. Whenever you have the return of, what I'm saying? Like, it's just.
Well, there was that one instance where he was big evil, and he came out and he beat up poor Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy would not quit. In like a Rocky Balboa fashion, he kept getting on the mic and going, "Is that all you got, Taker?" And Taker would be like, "Man, does this kid ever learn?" He went back to the ring 2 or 3 times and whooped him some more, and Jeff Hardy still wouldn't stop challenging him. And finally, the last time, Big Evil stomps to the ring and he lifts him up and he's getting ready to clock him one last time. And Jeff Hardy standing there, can barely stand. He's like, "Okay, I'm just going to take it." And all of a sudden, Taker just looks at him like, "You crazy." And he raises his hand out of respect. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I'll say this too. Like I was kind of saying here, when they came out, I know we just celebrated Happy Belated Birthday, America. I know we just celebrated it. but I do believe that we've all been downhill since that moment that he rode out on a motorcycle to Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. I think it's just gone downhill. I don't think anything has ever been the same since then. But no, just all joking aside, I do like all the gimmicks that he's been a part of. The characters really that he's kind of portrayed. I like you said, Kirk, to be able to bring back the dead man, right? To bring back that side of it is so
I will
cool.
say this. I've mentioned it a couple times. Even if you don't like wrestling, it is a fantastic look inside watching the podcast that he does.
Oh, he's got one of the best podcasts.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
he just talks so candid about the wrestling and about the business and about being inside, about also was it A&E did the those documentaries.
Yep.
And Undertaker's was amazing. Being in his old house as a kid and kind of seeing his mom was talking about those things, and he was really worried that he wasn't going to do anything because he thought he was going to play basketball. And basketball I think it was a knee injury maybe, and
Yes.
then he showed up and he got the deal. He showed up, I think it was in Houston area. He went to a wrestling school for a little bit, and he was like, oh yeah, let me try this, and kind of fought his way through the things. And as Mark Calloway, the big redheaded kind of no gimmick type guy, and then mean Mark Callis.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is Ole Anderson, I'll throw him in for a minute. He's like the living embodiment of a coin. On the one hand, on the head side, he came up with getting Animal and Hawk and calling them Animal and Hawk, the Road Warriors, which, okay, great idea, Ole. But on the bad side of the coin, the tails, he looks at a guy like Undertaker with this enormous amount of potential, and he's like, kid, nobody will ever pay money to watch you wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proving that, a clock is at least strikes right once a day, I guess.
So Jay, you're dropping some great names. Many of those we've already mentioned. The Yeti has been talked about in the chat. We haven't mentioned him on the show yet, but lots of really, really good picks. Big John Studd. Those are all great picks. And we're not done because it is actually time for our honorable mentions, which we call the Benjamins. Let's get it. So the reason it's called the Benjamin Smash, if you haven't been around a while, it was widely considered that Benjamin Franklin might be the fifth guy on the mountain, which means he's the honorable mention of the Mount Rushmore. And on top of that, my man Vintage Sports Flips was in here just a little while ago, if he's still hanging around. Their show this past recently, because it was on 4th of July, they ranked their top 5 favorite Americans. And they do the style like we're about to do. Once you mention one, you can't get it. It's gone. So we can't match. And so for whatever reason, Keith ended up with Roosevelt, Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and he ended up with Thomas Jefferson. And the other guy ended up with Abraham Lincoln. So I sent him a message. I said, obviously, Keith, you win. You have 4 out of the 5 guys we talk about. So there you go. But it's our show for the Benjamins portion, guys, is a fantasy football snake top style draft. And it's with whatever's left. We can't mention anybody we've already mentioned as our pick. And once somebody mentions them, they're gone. So we're going to try and draft our next 4 best to fulfill our top 8 stable, if you will. And Shockmaster's a good pick. That was old Tugboat himself. But yeah, we got some great ones already landing. You're going first, Smash. Who's the first Benjamin that should get mentioned today before we tell everybody good night?
My first Benjamin, I'm going to have to go all the way to deepest, darkest Uganda for the Ugandan giant, Kamala.
Nice. She's the vice president, isn't she? She's vice president right now? Wrong one.
I believe it's pronounced just a slight bit different there.
Sorry.
It's like you guys say smash and other people say smash. Because I'd be fancy. I'd be fancy.
All right.
Charisma, baby.
So let's see. The next guy I'm going with, and I am absolutely surprised he has not been mentioned today already, is you nervous, Andy?
I'm so nervous. I have 5.
You nervous? I'm going with Big Van Vader.
Yeah.
Oh!
It's time.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah,
it's time. It's time. It's Vader time. I own you.
Now, listen, just quick little tidbit. He's the first guy that I seen do a moonsault at that size off the top rope. He was a phenomenal athlete and just recently died a couple years back. Used to wear the big old mask in WCW, which was awesome, but he always wore the leather straps. And listen, his main career, he was amazing in WCW. He was all right in WWE or WWF. That was kind of at the end of his twilight. But in Japan, he was a mega star. So I'm going with Big Van Vader. Andy, you get 2 picks.
Oh, gosh. And you just took another one of my Benjamins.
It hurts.
I was trying to help you out, man, because I didn't think you'd have Vader.
Oh, I absolutely had Vader on my list. I wanted to try to fit him in my 4, honestly. But I'm going to go with I got a little video evidence.
Oh.
Sergeant Slaughter, ID number 199-20017.
Catch him, maggots. This is Sergeant Slaughter from the WWE and G.I. Joe, the real American hero. And you're watching the Rushmore Show. This is the top 4 and nothing more. And that's an order. Yo, Joe!
I don't know what that fellow said there in all that different type of language, but he says it'll take more than a whistle to beat him. Well, let me tell you, how does a Slaughter cannon sound?
I had to go Sergeant Slaughter. I had to bring out the video. It was awesome.
Get down and give me 20, you maggots.
6'305". He fits barely in it, dude. And he was a fantastic person. He was so awesome.
Farrell says RIP headphones.
Yeah.
I realized.
Hey, man, I'm with you. I've been turning the volume up and down.
Well, get back-to-back picks. I don't have a video for this next guy. Oh, look, yeah, real quick. Show that. Look at that thing. Let me get you up there.
Then look at this beauty. Look at this beauty.
This was for him getting the Cobra Clutch. You got to get the Cobra Clutch coin.
I got Cobra clutched.
So, yeah.
He's a really cool guy. If you ever get a chance to see him, he does the conventions and stuff. He's a really, really down-to-earth, awesome guy. So that's my pick there. And then for my next pick, I'm going to go with Sexual Chocolate. Give me Mark Henry, baby. That dude is huge.
You know that I love that pick, Andy, because as soon as that theme song hit, and in fact, no one still to this day believes me, but when the nation broke up or close to being broken up, me and my friend used to speculate, okay, what's the next gimmick they're going to give each one? And so when it got to Mark Henry, I'm a big fan of Coming to America, and I thought they've got to give him the Sexual Chocolate gimmick. I could just see him coming out and be like, I believe the children are our future. Mic drop.
Oh my god!
I love this theme too. As soon as the Barry White piano came on, it's like, oh snap!
Yep. Yeah, he's a fantastic one. Yeah, so we're going with him.
Love it.
All right, back to you, Kirk.
Well, I'm going with the guy. He went by many names, but everybody knows him by one. I'm going with Sid. Sid Vicious, Sid Justice. Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid. Going with Sid Vicious.
No, Andy, are you all right?
Andy, you just got powerbombed. Boom!
Boom!
This is a Rushmore first. I'm having to do research live, so I'm glad I got a little while before my picks. Go ahead.
Kirky literally ate his hat.
Look, this is the missing portion, the missing person's portion of the program, Smash Ventura.
Oh, good God. Okay. Well, geez, I have a list, but you know what? I'm going to pull out an obscure one. I'm going to throw everybody off. You ready? Haystacks Calhoun.
What?
Yes.
Old school.
I'm literally doing research right now, and look what I just scrolled across.
Perfect.
What was it?
Haystacks Calhoun. He's like from the 60s, isn't he?
And 70s. I'll tell you, Bruno is one of the few guys who body slammed him.
Wow. Now, a couple people in the chat love that pick, Kirk. He was pretty bad on the mic, but man, talk about Sid real quick. One of the worst injuries I've ever seen in wrestling. Like his whole leg just was crazily bent, distorted. Damian Priest at this point, it's new. I was kind of shocked he got it, but I'm kind of liking what he's doing. Haystacks, what a name. Golden Boy Danny Spivey. Listen to Jay. What coming out? So you get one more. We're starting the third round, Smash. So you get another pick.
Okay. It was mentioned before. I was saving him. The human wrecking machine, Zeus. Rip, I will destroy you.
Zeus was cross-eyed.
Yes. And to a scary effect. In fact, when they brought him back on an episode of Nitro, Bobby Heenan, as always, said a great Bobby Heenan-ism. Where does Kevin Sullivan find these guys? Monsters Are Us?
Debo. Hey,
Debo.
Punk, bring my bike back. Hey,
I'm going to be taking your bike.
Just keep it down by your house. Yeah.
And he was in an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think it was the first or second season. And Carlton and Will had gone to the hood, and Carlton was trying to learn how to be hoodsy with Will's friends, and Zeus was one of the guys hanging out in the apartment. Well,
Patrick Big Daddy B is still available. You were
yes. Right. Aunt Viv finds out. She goes to the apartment, and she goes, "Okay, you guys are coming home right now." And Zeus stands up, and he says to Aunt Viv, he goes, "Well, they just got here." And she goes, "Boy, don't be sassing me." And Zeus, the human wrecking machine, sits down and goes, "Yes, ma'am."
All right, I'm going to go with one of the smaller guys in retrospect. I actually had to look. He's one of the reasons I started looking up his size.
Hey, pause real quick. Smash, who was your second of your two picks just now?
Haystacks Calhoun and Zeus.
He took Haystacks Calhoun, and then he took Zeus.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, cool. I was writing them down here, and I missed the name for whatever reason. Yeah.
All right. I'm going with Mr. Tractor Trailer, Ray Trailer, the big boss man.
Yes!
He was 6'6", 357, right on the nose. So anybody bigger than him considers big man. He is like right on the nose. So there's going mine. Andy, two more. I want one of the two, and I think you should take them both. But you're not going to take one of them for sure.
Okay, here we go. I do have two more to pick from. I actually have three to pick from. So I was saved here last minute, so I'm good. This guy is I mean, if we're going by that 6'5", 350, he's outside of those two things, but just a hair. I mean, he eats one more cheeseburger, he's there. You know, like on a bad day, on a cheat day, he's probably meeting the criteria. 6'4", 326 is what Google tells me. We all know that stuff fluctuates. Grab the tables. Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah, he was on my list.
Get the tables, baby. Bubba Ray Dudley is going to be my pick. And then just let me fact check this guy definitely doesn't make it for height because he's 6'1". But goodness gracious, he makes up for it in the weight department. And I'm going with the Samoan. I'm going with Rikishi. Rikishi, big dude, that move where he just turns his backside into the guy.
Face. Hey, another Samoan. Dude, I loved his run with
Too Cool.
Yeah.
Man, I loved it. He also, very much like Yokozuna, although he didn't pass away, he got a different run with another person outside of Too Cool, and they've turned him heel, and it didn't work. But he is the father of is it the Usos or
yes
or
yeah. He's the father of the Usos and Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, so that's their dad. Rikishi was my next guy on my pick. He was one of the two, so I'm glad you were able to grab one of them because I still have my other one. This is the first time I'm going to venture outside of WCW, WWEF type thing. I'm going to the biggest and baddest guy, much like a Undertaker Mankind child. I'm going with none other than Abyss from TNA. Love Abyss. Man, fantastic character. Love this guy.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
You get Smash. You get the final pick. Also, real quick, Farrell, there's multiple matches, Big Show and Rikishi. I just Googled that, YouTubed it. There's quite a few you can find on there. So it's definitely entertaining. All right, Smash, you get the final pick. You have literally
Moose is great. Patrick Moose is great. He was on my list.
You have every other big man ever in wrestling to ever hop in the ring. No pressure. What's your last pick?
You know what? This is tough. I've still got a number of people written down, but another one actually was a toss-up between two. It was very, very close because neither one of them gets as much love as they should. But I'm going to have to say Big John Studd.
All right.
There he is. I am surprised. Listen, as an 80s guy, I am so surprised this wasn't on your full mountain.
It was hard. It was really hard because again, there's so many great ones.
Here's my thing though. Big John Studd, to me, although he's ultra 80s and perfect and fits the bill, he was always just a little below the guy. Like he was always like the Brutus the Barber Beefcake guy. Yeah. He was always the, I'm the backup to you, even though he was a huge monster of a man. Him, the Hillbilly Jims of the world, they were all great characters for the show back then.
Kirk, I totally agree. I've always wondered if you guys ever do a what if program on Big Men. I always wondered what would have happened if Big John Studd had just waited a couple more years before he vanished. Because he disappeared for a while, and then he came back in '89, which he was well received. We were all excited, but then he disappeared again.
I have to say something. Right down here, bunch of folks talking, wow, no Earthquake.
That was the tie between Earthquake and Big John Studd.
I had the option to pick both Earthquake, Typhoon. I was going to say both of them together as the natural disasters, except I thought, that's kind of Kane and Undertaker too, as the Tower of Terror. Listen, Earthquake was the very first big man that shocked me. I remember his first day coming in where he came out of the audience. He got out of the audience. I'll never forget this. I was watching like a Saturday morning, and he come running down to this big guy, and he just started stomping. And the next thing you know, he's wearing a singlet the next week as an actual wrestler. John Tenta was his name. And here's also a fun thing. I believe he's also in my fraternity too. Earthquake was also Golga in the Oddities. And he also partnered with Tugboat, which was the Shockmaster. Those all were on my list. I was going to pick them. Great guys. Typhoon. Typhoon was kind of the best friend of Hildt for a little while, and they were going to have that. Yeah. There's so many other guys on my list. I'll put my whole list that I have. I have a list of 39 on my list. I'll put the rest of my list down in the comments after the show goes to live. If you're still here, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe. We have a new guy that it's first time I've seen him, but it kind of went quick. But where'd he go? Tripleaholic X Cards and stuff. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Summit Squad. You're coming in the tail end. Hopefully you'll subscribe and rewatch and come back and visit. If you like wrestling and you like sports and other things, sounds like cards, we're going to nail out a few of those things coming up. Sheamus. Yeah, Sheamus is a good one. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. But it is time to tell everybody good night and kind of end this thing up. Next week, friends, we are at camp. And we've already filmed it. It's a great show. We're talking about kids' meal toys. You want to have blast of the past? We bring up some really awesome blasts. Andy has thrown in some great old school things that you probably forgot about. Please check that out next Friday. This Sunday at noon Eastern, 11 Central, a great message, nostalgia. I'm sorry. Nostalgia was in Inside Out too, but also anxiety, navigating anxiety. And then we come back and we're going to hang out with our friend Logan. Hildt from the Hildt is his channel. He was on real early in the show. He does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff and these cool Western shows on his channel. Go visit his channel. But he's coming on and we're going to do action cartoons when we get back. That's kind of the next 2 or 3 things that are coming up. And it's the last pre-record we have planned for a little bit. Smash just joined in and shared his page down there. Smash, since you shared it, it's now your turn. Tell everybody how they can find you, what you got going on, and before we tell everybody good night.
Well, tomorrow night is Smash Ventura TV on YouTube. It's 80s fun. It's a little edgy, so it's not for everyone. Just a heads up. But Smash Ventura TV on YouTube tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And then Sunday night at 8 p.m. is We're Living in the 1980s, my radio show. For all things Smash Ventura, you can find it all at my official website, officialsmashventura.card.co. So all the neon goodness is right there.
Nice. Well, dude, it was been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, guys.
Super
Thank you
fun.
so much. I'm honored.
Yeah.
I really am, and I mean that.
Hey, listen, and this is for the 4 of you that are still hanging out. I was mentioning this to Smash in the green room. Over the last few weeks, we have been just overwhelmed with the encouragement and the support, not just from our fans and the guys, you in the chat, but a lot of the hosts have been coming on and just really complimenting how hard we work with different aspects of the show and keeping it going. We appreciate that. And listen, if you guys come and hang out with us, we'll continue to hang out with you and try and put out good work. We're all self-taught. We're just a bunch of guys just trying to enjoy hanging out with friends and building a cool community. Everybody that's ever come on our show. Matter of fact, I wanted to share this, and there are 41 different channels. And I might have missed 1 or 2 because I keep trying to keep it up to date. But if you go to our homepage on YouTube, there is a section where it's just guest channels. These are all guys that have been on the show, and there are 41 different shows there. Go follow them all. They've all been a part, and they all will be a part again. And we have a great set of shows lined up. Anybody out there that wants to join the show, you're welcome to come and join the show. We have Nostalgia all booked. Next set is sports. That's going to be in September, October. And then November, December will be food. And then we start over again with video games for 2 months, music for 2 months, movies and TV for 2 months, back to nostalgia for 2 months. But thank you guys so much. If I see you tomorrow at Siege, if you're hanging around, I can't wait to hang out with you. And then we're off to camp. Andy, is there anything else you want to share with our friends?
No, I mean, you've kind of nailed it all. I appreciate you being on Smash. We definitely know we want to come on yours, man, whenever you'll have us, whenever we can make that work.
Doors wide open, brother.
Whenever we can make that. I am not as well versed in 80s, so just so you know. But
hey, it's friendly turf for everybody, man. You got nostalgia, you bring it, baby.
Yeah. But
and let me just say this: if you love wrestling, and this is your jam, we have 2 other wrestling shows coming up. We have one coming up with an actual indie wrestler. He wrestled up Northeast. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. He's a champion right now. He actually has a match coming up soon. His name is Carnage Perez, and he's coming on our show to do faces in wrestling. And then we have another one with Paul in the 619. He's coming on to do wrestling matches. So we have 3 wrestling Rushmores build for the nostalgia. If wrestling's your thing and you like it, come back and join us for those. So Smash, you've been fantastic. I can't wait to hang out with you again. I can't wait to do something with you guys. He also did a cool little entrance song for us. I'll share that coming up soon as well. And guys, I just love this. This makes my week. I've been itching to do this, and Big Men in Wrestling is just a fantastic topic. We love you guys. Andy, time to tell our friends good night.
Well, let's say good night like we always do, Summit Squad. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4.
And nothing more, baby.
Peace, brother.